Lori,
Yes,
thanks for
cheers.
finally, after
Yes.
4 years of trying to get you to join me on a Mentorship Espresso.
Yes.
And for inspiring some new little elements.
Yes, cheers.
Yes,
Well, I said
salud.
we need to have an espresso on Mentorship Espresso.
This is the first one. I love it. So you're tying in some new variables to
Yes.
the interview.
Yes. We'll create a new trend.
Yeah,
Yes.
I love it. Can you share with us your name, where you work, and how did you get into the field of ABA?
Whoa, that's a lot.
Yeah, let's start off with a bang.
Yes. So I'm Dr. Lori Ochoa. I am a board certified behavior analyst. I am one of the co-founders of Bloom Behavioral Health. I started that company 8 years ago with my husband, Ozzy Ochoa, and we've been owning and operating and running that company for, like I said, 8 years. I also recently started another company called Life by Design, which is a personal development company specializing in utilizing acceptance and commitment training to optimize well-being and just give people personal development tools and strategies rooted in the science of psychology and behavior.
Awesome.
I went to UC Irvine as an undergrad student, and I had a love for psychology and social behavior. And I also had a love for working with children. So I was getting all this experience, and one of my classmates in one of my psychology classes, she knew I had experience working with kids. So she was working with a child with autism. She could not fulfill all the hours and provide all the therapeutic support that this child needed. So she asked me and said, hey, do you want to join and be a part of our team? You're going to get supervision, mentorship, training. At the time, I didn't know what ABA was. I didn't know LOVAS. I didn't know anything. All I knew at the time was, well, I'm learning these principles, and how awesome would it be to apply it in an applied setting? So I did. And that was the beginning of my love and passion for the science.
That's awesome. I love the little history story because you're describing the workshop model that they used to use a lot more back in the days. Have you seen the field of ABA unfold since back in the early 2000s to where things are at now?
Oh my gosh. Do we have like hours? I mean, because boy, have I seen it unfold. Before, it was early intervention, regional center services. There wasn't a lot of access for families to be able to access services. So I go to graduate school in 2006.
Okay.
Chicago, and there's absolutely nothing. There's no regional centers. There's no services funded through healthcare. A lot of center-based programs, but it was like far. I mean, parents did not have access to services. So then coming back to California, and then being a part of the whole legislation, I even went up to Sacramento with some of the members of the Autism Business Association you remember that, right? And just looking at what are these services gonna look like as we transition from regional center services into a healthcare model? What does that even mean for us as a field and our organizations? So I've really seen the evolution. I mean, you remember back in the day, we as therapists, we'd go to a client's home and we'd have a binder this big.
Right.
And we'd have
the dividers.
And then I'd have to flip through to find the programs, and now everything is digital. Then we moved over to a virtual model, and then with COVID, seeing the transition move into like telehealth, and seeing also how that's afforded greater access to services through the telehealth model. So boy, have I seen an evolution.
And you've also been involved, especially here in California, from what I've seen, your involvement in helping shape the practice that we currently have today in terms of legislation and just the evolution. What was that experience like, being involved in the legislation part of it? It
was honestly a privilege. I remember at the time my late mentor, Dr. Ali Sadeghi, really spearheaded to get as many providers together and draft out a proposal of working closely in conjunction with the legislators who were writing the bills, because his whole mentality was, we are the service providers. We have been the ones providing these services. We should have a voice. We should be able to go up to Sacramento and give input and work in collaboration with how these laws are going to be written, because we know that when laws are written, that's going to impact and influence and roll over and carry over into how we deliver those services. And so just being a part of that experience and working closely with the legislators up in Sacramento was just a privilege, honestly.
Yeah, well, I mean, we thank you and everybody that was involved in that.
Yes.
You know, I think we have the ability to practice ABA the way all of you who were involved voiced, and you know, we have a lot of opportunities, a lot of options, so thank you for all that work. But you brought up something that kind of comes to the core of this discussion, which you talked about mentorship.
Yes.
So I wanted to kind of dive into what's been your mentorship experience as you've evolved in the field since, you know, when you started to where you're at now.
I really view my first mentors being my father and my older sister. So my father, Isaac, I'm getting emotional.
It's a safe space. It's a safe space.
This is what you do.
Yeah.
I say you're like an Oprah. No, because it's my father. You know, he really embodied. You know, he's an entrepreneur. He owns his own company, and he is like just the most hardworking man. And he always got me involved I can remember as early as like junior high. I was doing invoices. I was doing payroll for his company. And I just loved being a part of watching him own this business and be an entrepreneur. And he always encouraged me at a young age towards entrepreneurship, and just always inspired me to work hard. So I feel like he's my first mentor.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and that gets me emotional every time. So my sister, my older sister, she actually was the first person in our family to go to college.
Okay. Oh, awesome.
Yes. So my sister was the first person to go to college. She went to UCLA. I was in 6th grade at the time, and I'll never forget, there was a on campus bring your sibling to school day, and I remember sitting with her in these lecture halls at UCLA. I remember going to the library with her, and I just was like, this is where I want to be.
Yeah.
And she motivated me, and she inspired me, and she supported me, and she encouraged me. Like, she was like the first one in our family, of all of our cousins to go to college. I'm like, if she can do it, I can do it. So I really go back to my family are like my first mentors, because they really paved the way to inspire me.
No, I love that you went back to the roots.
Yes.
The kind of the roots of that inspiration. When you started out in the field, were there any professionals that started guiding you behaviorally?
So after I graduated with my bachelor's degree in psychology, I ended up working for a company, and it was an early intervention company. And I had a mentor. His name is Dr. Levin, and he really inspired me to pursue graduate school and pursue ABA. And I remember he would come out to our sessions, and he would really speak the science. And as a young professional at the time, I was like, wow, I want to learn how to speak that way. I want to learn these strategies. I want to learn more about the science. And because I saw that as a tool. I'm like, wow, he can come out to these families, and he has these tools in his tool belt to better serve. I want to be able to do that. I was very lucky and very fortunate to have Dr. Grant Goutreau, and he is a consultant for the comprehensive application of behavior analysis to schooling, so CABAS model, out of Columbia University with Dr. Greer. So he is a consultant, and he goes out to England to consult for their programs out there. So they need people to come in and fill in for the summer. Well, I need my BCBA supervision hours. I have my, at the time, my husband, well, he was my boyfriend then, Ozzy, we both had experience, and I just said, this is a no-brainer. This is absolutely, yes, I want to do my internship hours in England at the CABA schools. So for 2 summers in graduate school, we flew out and we lived in England, and we worked at the Jigsaw School in Surrey, England, and he provided us mentorship and training and supervision, teaching us the CABAS model. So the comprehensive application of behavior analysis to schooling model. And that just opened my eyes to another level of delivering services and supervision and criteria for that mentorship and mentee relationship, And so that was another pivotal mentor in my life. And then I was very fortunate to have another mentor, Dr. Ali Sadeghi, when I came back to California pursuing my doctoral degree, my PhD in Los Angeles. I worked at his company, and he was a phenomenal man because he was this marriage between a businessman and a clinical psychologist. And he taught me that hybrid of what it means to be a clinician and a practitioner, but also a business person. So he was very pivotal in providing me with mentorship on kind of like that business model, that business acumen, right? And so I received his training and mentorship for 6 years before we then decided to launch and open up our own business. Yeah.
Wow.
And now I have mentors in because now I'm doing more personal development coaching, which we'll get into utilizing ACT. But now I'm part of the special interest group with the ACBS, the Contextual Behavioral Sciences. And I also have mentors in the business network marketing space, which are not behaviorally related. But I do find it's very important for us to seek mentors outside of our field because we can learn and grow so much, from other industries as well. So I have a lot of...
Thank you for watching. For more insights on the power of mentorship, please watch our monthly Mentorship Espresso on the first Friday of every month. And if you like this content and appreciate it, please click like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.